Okay, Alex Sanchez, defense attorney. What do you make of the latest findings of the documents released by the judge, basically admitting that he gave quaaludes to some women? And does this prove that he was the rapist that everybody and all these 30 plus women have alleged is true now?
That information that came out just reaffirms in my mind, and I'm certain in the mind of many other people, that Bill Cosby is a sociopath. He's a very sick, pathologically disturbed individual who has almost like a split personality. He could be this affable, funny, entertaining guy in public, but behind closed doors or when he's alone with a woman, an absolute monster emerges. What amazes me is that he actually admitted that he obtained these quaaludes for the purposes of giving women for sex. Now, if these women wanted to have sex with him voluntarily, right, why do you need to give drugs to them? Just go and have sex with them if they voluntarily want to have sex with you. So he says he gave these women, and they took the drugs themselves voluntarily so that he can. It doesn't even make sense. It makes no sense. And all it does is substantiate, as far as I'm concerned, all the allegations that have made against him, which are very frightening, that we have a person in this position of authority that is giving people drugs. Now, I know some of the women said he gave them the drugs, and some of them took it voluntarily. Now, why they would take these drugs voluntarily, I think it has to do with the fact that it was Bill Cosby, and he was this famous, bigger-than-life personality, and he gives you something and says, here, take it, and some people, they do lose a certain sense of rationality when you're dealing with people with such standing. But why they took it, and if they took it, and if they did so voluntarily, that's really a separate question, because if these people became drugged, they couldn't even consent to having sex. And the stories over a long period of time of the drugging and women waking up, these 19-year-old girls, 16-year-old girls, it's absolutely sickening. And let me tell you something else, Jordan, which really aggravates me. The attorneys have been going on this big publicity spree, talking about how these women are lying and defending Bill Cosby. He would never do this. That's all a big fabrication. Let me tell you, those attorneys, they knew about that prior testimony. They knew very well that he had made admissions under oath, and yet they're making public statements that Bill Cosby never engaged in this type of behavior. Those attorneys should be brought up on charges themselves in the local disciplinary committee for lying and acting unethical, and their licenses should be revoked, because that's not the way attorneys are supposed to act. You want to defend your client, fine, okay? But you don't act like his lying mouth person. You understand what I'm saying? You don't get up there and lie on his behalf. Those people should be brought up on charges, and their licenses should be revoked, period.
It's just people say that, he was so big that maybe he could have achieved these women on his own without drugging them. And not to say that that was morally, ethically proper, but at the same time that he is Bill Cosby, and we know that, and that there are what we call the chasers of celebrities back in the days. So there seems like there could have been, just by judgment, opportunities without going through all these forceful situations that he could have obtained that women, albeit it wouldn't have been nice because he had a wife. But granted, I'm sure with the name Bill Cosby that he could have got other women besides his wife to have sex with him without drugging them. Your thoughts?
Well, that again, that's what's so sickeningly shocking about this. These people at that level, from what I've heard, I'm not at that level, but from what I've heard of people at this level, women are literally throwing themselves, and they're lined up to throw themselves, because there are some women, not all women, of course, but there are some women that just to sleep with a celebrity, they consider that a wonderful opportunity. And he could have had women 7 days a week. But this is about something different. This is not just about him wanting to have sex with a woman. It's about him trying to administer monstrous and brutal control and power and exert pain over these people, and getting some type of almost sadistic pleasure out of being able to have sex with them by essentially knocking them out. I mean, he didn't punch them and knock them out. He gave them drugs and knocked them out. But he wanted to hurt them, and he wanted control over them and power over them. That's why it's so pathological. The man is a dangerous person. And even though that person who was commenting before on your show thinks that he should go to a police station and just surrender himself, I got news for you. Sociopaths don't act like that. This man's never going to admit that he did anything wrong. I hope that in some jurisdiction, somewhere in the United States, there is no statute of limitations. And I hope he's arrested, and I hope he stands trial, and I hope the witnesses come in and testify against him. I hope he's convicted, and I hope he goes to jail.
You think that's a possibility? We heard that the statute of limitations has run out. Maybe not on all, but do you think that there can be some cases that are open, and maybe some women that haven't came through yet?
I think they can be. I mean, the most important thing operating in Bill Cosby's favor is time and the statute of limitations, right? The statute of limitations basically says that if a person doesn't make the allegation, or Bill Cosby is not arrested after the allegation has been made within a certain amount of time, then he cannot be prosecuted. But let's say there is, in some jurisdiction, in California or Oregon, wherever it is, it could be anywhere, there is no statute of limitations. If a woman says she was raped, 40 years later, he could be prosecuted. But the fact that so much time has elapsed also operates to Bill Cosby's benefit, because there's no witnesses, there's no type of physical evidence, there's no medical evidence. Did the person come forward and make these allegations because other people had gone forward and made allegations? Is it retaliatory? Is it designed to get money? But on the other hand, Bill Cosby has put himself in a big hole by those previous admissions, because if he ever gets up to try to defend himself, he's going to have to explain this business about him giving quaaludes to women so that he can have sex with them. Although I don't know why he needs to give quaaludes to any women if she voluntarily wants to have sex with you.
So the audience knows, quaaludes is a very strong drug. It's so strong that it's been banned. As I did my research reading in the last 10 years, quaaludes have been banned from the FDA. They don't even give it to people anymore. I never took it personally.
Yeah, knock you out. And let me tell you something.
Knock you out.
He is lucky that none of these women dropped dead during the time he had given them quaaludes. He's not a pharmacist, and he's giving out quaaludes. Who knows if some women were not allergic to it, or they had a very low tolerance of it. Unbelievable.
And,
it's an unbelievable story.
Let me put you in a spot that you would, what would you do, hypothetically, God forbid, if you found out that your daughter was the victim of a celebrity like Bill Cosby?
From a legal point of view,
from a legal point of view,
I always operate legally. I mean, I could
Right.
fantasize what I'd like to do to the person, but I never advise anyone
Right.
to engage in any illegal behavior. We have a system in this country, and it's not perfect, but you have to abide by the rules that we have in the system. So I would use every legal format available to me to seek retribution against him. That's what I would do against such a person, including suing them, including bringing it to the attention of the police, going to the newspapers, writing articles, trying to contact other people that have maybe been victims of this person, trying to contact the potential employers of this person, that this person is a rapist. I would do everything in my power to make life miserable for this person, as long as it's within the bounds of the law. That's what I would
Absolutely.